I think we got a heck of a shot of winning. We can beat anybody in the world, and I think we're going to win next Sunday.
David Wells has pitched a perfect game. 27 up, 27 down. Baseball immortality for David Wells.
And it's hit deep to left center. Andrew Jones on the run. This one has a chance. Home run! Mike Piazza, and the Mets lead 3-2. Bates against Joseph. Bates in on goal. Defend Metro! And the Rangers have one more hell of a time, baby!
This is the Cross Island Sports Network, where iconic moments get iconic coverage.
You are listening to the Cross Island Podcast. Action hosted by Lyle and Errol Marks.
Welcome to a new show of the Cross Island Podcast. My name is Errol Marks, my co-host Lyle Gillian. We have a great show lined up for you guys a little bit later. We will get into, obviously right now, we'll get into the Giants and the Jets camps and what they're doing in the preseason. The Jets played their second game. The Giants played their second game. So we'll get into that. We'll get into all the preseason games of the NFL right now, and who do we see to be very, very big and dangerous moving into the season. I have the hiccups, ladies and gentlemen, so please understand. I'll try to get through the show by dealing with this. I've had it all day, and we'll get into the New York Mets and the New York Yankees postseason race. Both teams playing pretty good baseball. The Yankees right now, the best team. Well, arguably the best team in the American League, so we will get into that a little bit later. But first, Lyle, what's going on, man?
Nothing much. I do want to take a moment to do a little bit of a victory dance, okay? You know, I was saying it for a long time, and I saw the all over Twitter, all over every social media, people were all essentially repeating what I said. And I wanted to make sure we started the show with me doing a victory dance and bragging about it and saying how I was right. And I know I'm right, and I'm always right. Okay? Daniel Jones sucks monkey dick. We watched him suck monkey dick in the first preseason game. Now every Giant fan is talking about how he sucks monkey dick. I have been saying it. Daniel Jones sucks. And what did we see? Daniel Jones sucks. So I just want to take a little bit of the victory dance, a little victory lap, a little woo, and rub it in your face that Daniel Jones sucks, and I've been telling you that.
It's a preseason game. It means nothing, just so you know.
Daniel Jones is breathing. He still sucks.
I've seen a lot of quarterbacks play bad in preseason games and show up in regular season games. So I'm not really worried about Daniel Jones sucking all season long. I still think Daniel Jones has a lot in him, and I think the Giants will figure that out as they move forward into the season. So I think a lot of Giant fans could have whatever they have against him, and they don't like him, and that's fine. He comes from Duke. He's a guy that was a first-round draft pick that a lot of people took shots at Gettleman for drafting. But let's be honest. I disagree. He had a good season. That's why they gave him $40 million. It just so happens right now he's not playing. He didn't play a good football game in the first preseason game. We'll see what happens moving forward. It's been horrible today with these hiccups, by the way. They're trying all day to get rid of them, and they won't go.
Quit your beatboxing.
I'm sorry?
Quit your beatboxing.
Dude, I've been trying to get rid of them, but they just don't want to go away. They go away for 5 minutes.
I'm going to make a video, and I'm going to make a compilation of every hiccup you have, and I'll title it Errol Beatboxing live on show, and it'll just be like.
And listen, I'm trying to hold.
It might be a good song,
I'm trying to hold them in. They just don't want to stay in. It's hard, and I've never had them this long, but they come and they go. They came and they go all day today, and I've been dealing with it. So unfortunately, I'm just going to deal with it.
Sound like a little chihuahua barking.
Dude, I'm trying to hold it in. That's why I don't want it to keep, coming out, but whatever. So why don't we get into it? The New York Jets preseason. and obviously practicing. And a lot of people like the running backs right now. All the running backs have played very well. Braylon Allen has played very, very well throughout the preseason games. Both preseason games, he looks pretty damn good. He looked good. He's been looking good in practice. Everybody's been speaking high praise of him. Aaron Rodgers spoke very high praise of him. He's going to be a good 1-2 punch with Breece Hall. Izzy has also looked good in the preseason and in practices as well. So, and also Davis. All four of them have looked really, really good. So a lot of people looking at them and obviously trying to decide what the Jets are going to keep. I think the Jets are going to keep all four of them. One of them is going to probably play on the practice squad. They're going to keep 3 of these guys on the roster. I would think they would keep Izzy on the roster instead of Davis, because Davis is kind of like he's just like Breece Hall. He's just like Braylon Allen. So I think they're both all 3 of them do the same thing. So,
I think they're going to keep all 4 of them.
I'm sorry?
I think they're going to keep all 4 of them
on the roster. They're not going to keep 4 running backs on the roster because they have.
I think they're going to want one on the practice squad. I think that they're going to find a way to try and keep all 4 on there.
I don't know how they're going to do that. They got to keep extra defensive players and offensive linemen, and that's where the Jets over the last couple of years have just had no depth. The running back position, they've always had depth. If you look at where the Jets have been over the last couple of years, their weakness has not been the running back. Their weakness has been the offensive line and the structure of the offensive line and the injuries on the offensive line. Last year, the Jets had more offensive line injuries than any team in football. They had 10 or 11 different offensive linemen playing on that offensive line. Listen, you're going to hear the hiccups the whole show, so I don't know why you're making faces. You're going to hear it. It is what it is. Deal with it. But the offensive line is the one that the Jets needed to really recoup backup players, and they did that this offseason. Mm-hmm. They drafted a running back. They drafted an offensive lineman in the first round. They have a couple offensive linemen that they drafted in the first four rounds over the last couple of years. And their roster is set. So I think they're going to keep 3 running backs on this roster. Izzy is a very unique running back because he can catch the ball in the backfield just as much as Breece Hall can. Braylon Allen is more like a beast. He north and south type of running back. He could do a lot. He could beat up and he could punish people in the middle. I think Breece Hall could do all the different things on the outside. So Izzy's the kind of guy that you can use him as a wide receiver. You can spread him out. Pitch him in the back. That's why I think they keep Izzy. And Davis will probably, if he gets through waivers, which I think a lot of teams will be interested in him. I think if he does get through waivers, the Jets will put him on the practice squad.
But see, why would they cut him if they think that someone's going to pick?
They're not cutting him. They have to put him on waivers. The only way they can put him on the practice squad is if they put him on waivers. And here's the problem: you can't keep all these guys. You can only keep, I think it's a 53-man roster.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, 53-man. But like you said, like they could use Izzy as a wide receiver. I don't see why. Like, hey, one late number low depth chart guy they let go and put him to the practice squad, who they know will go through and clear to the practice squad, and use Izzy as another wide receiver, use him as a receiving down back. I don't see why they would risk that. That doesn't make sense to me.
Well, again, teams are going to have to give up players in the waivers, and the Jets are going to have to take a chance. That's what happens. And I think with the Jets...
Well, why would you take a chance on a guy that you know is going to get taken?
Well, you don't know if he's going to get taken. I thought Izzy last year was going to be put on the practice squad. He actually made the team, and then he was hurt. The Jets put him on the injured reserve, so it benefited the Jets that he got injured early in the season. But there are players that you have to take a chance with, and I think the Jets obviously have 4 quality running backs, 3 that I believe they think could make the team and be a big force on that running back position. Braylon Allen already is going to make this roster.
So Braylon Allen will, but not Braylon Edwards?
Stop. Braylon Allen, listen, dude, I've been dealing with a lot of stuff, and the fact that I'm even doing this show should be surprising to a lot of people. I have hiccups all day. I've gone to an MRI dealing with back injury. and I'm still here. So make jokes all you want. I'm still here. I'm still forcing myself to be here for the show. So me making
you're a warrior. You're a soldier.
I try to be. But Izzy's the guy I think is going to make this roster because Izzy is different than all the other three backs. And I think Izzy has proven that he can do a lot of different things for the Jets. He's actually, for a guy his size, is a good blocker. So I think the problem with Davis is the same thing as Braylon Allen. He's the same type of running back as Breece Hall. They can't keep three guys that do the identity.
In the first preseason game when I watched them both play, it felt like a big gap was between Allen and Davis. Davis, he didn't look bad by no means, but it looked like Allen was a guy who could start for many teams in the NFL.
Allen should have been a second-round draft pick.
And he could have came out, started for any team in the NFL, and looked like a guy who's been around for a while in the league. They looked like there was a gap between the two. So I would not be shocked if Davis didn't make it, but like it just sounds like poor asset management to take a guy who could get claimed on waivers and send him through there. If you think he's gonna get claimed on waivers, what I would do is I would try to trade him first instead of losing him for nothing.
I don't think anybody's gonna pick up the kid. I think the kid is gonna make waivers. I think the Jets will put him on a practice squad.
What round did they take him again?
Davis was a 5th or 6th round draft pick. I think he gets through. Listen, Izzy is not. If you put him on waivers, Izzy is gone.
100%.
So there are teams looking at Izzy. Izzy is like a Bradshaw. That's what type of player he is for the Giants. He could be used in many different packages. You can move him in so many different ways. I think you can move him as a wide receiver, a slot wide receiver. He's very fast. He can catch the ball very, very well. So I think the Jets could use him in so many different multiple packages. I think Izzy makes this squad. Braylon Allen is definitely going to be the backup running back. And I think he's the future starting running back for this team, because Breece Hall in 2 years is going to become a free agent. And the Jets have to decide, are you going to keep him or you're not going to keep him? And with Braylon Allen being the youngest player coming out of this year's draft, he's only 20 years old. In 2 years, he's 22. He's a baby. So the Jets still have control of him. I think what's going to happen is Breece Hall is going to be the odd man out, no matter how good he is and how good he plays for the next 2 years. Even if the Jets win the Super Bowl, they're going to probably part ways with him because they have to pay Sauce. They got to pay Garrett. And they got to pay Elijah Veritaka if he stays on. So there's got to be an odd man out. And Jermaine Johnson, too, who looks like a beast. I think he gained like 20 pounds of muscle this offseason. So he looks really good. I think he's the future leader of that defense moving forward when C.J. Mosley retires. Or decides to part ways with the New York Jets. So I think that in the position that the Jets are in right now, they're going to have one odd man out no matter how good he is, and it's going to be Breece Hall.
I agree. And I really do think that Izzy deserves to make the team. Especially if all three running backs are the same, you need to have something different out there to throw a different look out there against your opponent. If they have to prepare for only one dimension of the running game, I think that's stupid in my opinion. I don't want to use that word. I feel like I'm not putting much into the conversation, but if you're a team and you're trying to game plan for the other team, you don't want to give them only one showing the entire game. You want to give them something different. And I was reading an article today from a Jets website, and they didn't think Izzy could make the team, and I did not agree with that. It was who was the
writer?
Yeah, that's what the word is called. Rivka Board from Jets X Factor. I'm not very familiar with her, but I was reading the article about the game from the 17th, and she thinks that he can't make it or isn't going to make it, and I disagree. I don't think that would be a smart move. I do agree with you that he would get taken. A lot of teams in the NFL, I think, would be able to use him if he does as a backup or a third-string running back. But yeah, I don't think he should get cut.
I don't think he is. I think he makes the team. He's different. As far as the running backs, the wide receivers are concerned, Tyler Conklin's making this roster. Obviously, Jeremy Rucker is going to make this roster, even though Jeremy has been dealing with a lot of off-the-field issues, not with his family life. I think Jeremy Rucker, the Lindenhurst graduate, is going to make this roster. I think the wide receiving core is pretty much, has been decided already. Mike Williams, Garrett Wilson, Malachi is going to make the team. I mean, obviously, this roster is pretty much Jason Brownlee is going to make this roster. He played pretty well in bits and pieces of the final games of the season.
I thought he had a nice route that he ran in the opener where he had the touchdown. I thought that was a nice route, and he had some nice footwork in the end zone. I liked his I think he should definitely stay on. I think he's a good player. If you cut him, I think somebody will take him on waivers. I don't think he's the guy who should get cut.
Xavier Gibson's going to make this roster. Obviously, they're pretty much set on their wide receiving core. Obviously, the New York Jets going into the season, they have a lot of depth. This is a season that you can finally say that the Jets have depth on every single position, even a linebacker position. Over the years, they haven't.
Well,
they do.
I'm gonna agree, but disagree. I think they've had depth the last couple of years, but the problem hasn't been the depth; it's the depth staying healthy. There's a certain point when your depth, if they all get injured, like last year, Joe Douglas, he did sign depth to play behind guys on the line, but they all got injured. So there's a certain point
we're all not good.
But you know what? If their first and second string stayed healthy, they would have been much, much, much better than what they ended the season with.
You know who I've been very impressed with right now so far in the practices and I've been hearing is Will McDonald. And
yes.
I've been hearing a lot of good things about this kid. He put on some size in the off season. He's got a great bend that everybody says, and we still don't know what's going on with Hassan Reddick. I think Hassan Reddick will be here before the season starts, but with no practices and no off-season, preparation, he's going to start the season off very, very slow. He might not get his legs under him until week 5, week 6. They're going to need Will McDonald, and I think Will McDonald has looked very good in both the preseason games. I think he has 1.5 sacks. He's looked good in practice. I've heard a lot of coaches that said that he's looked really, really good. So that's a good sign for the New York Jets. I mean, some of these guys also, Olu Fashanu, who's looked really, really good. They're moving him to right tackle and left tackle. He's played both positions and he's played very, very well. So I think the Jets should be very excited about him because I think he is obviously the future left tackle for this organization. And this is a guy that didn't give up one sack. Didn't give up 1 sack in 3 years in Penn State. So their offensive line, I think, obviously,
they were moving them around on the left side and the right side. They want to have depth in case
one of those guys get hurt. Morgan Mosley, who over the last year and a half has been fighting certain injuries, and obviously Tyron Smith, who's always injured. So they're going to need Olu to take over and play both positions, and I think Olu's looked good on both positions. So for the New York Jets, that's a good sign. You should be very excited. Who's also looked really good that I've heard? Javon Kinlaw, the defensive lineman the Jets brought in from San Francisco, who really didn't play a lot last year for San Francisco. He was obviously a coach's decision, a guy that obviously the team decided to bring in because he fits that defense. He thinks that he fits that defensive style, and I think he's looked really, really good at practices. I've heard he's by far one of the, him and Quinn Williams are working together, look really, really good at practices, I've heard, and he looks like he's going to be a great addition to the defensive line.
Do you think this is Rutgers' last chance at making it on this team?
I think Rutgers making the team.
No, not making the team. This full season. Do you think if he doesn't have a breakout year, this is his last shot at really becoming somebody in the NFL? Robert
Saleh loves him. Everybody's asked him about him. Robert Saleh loves him. He can block.
But you know what? If you're not producing.
Yeah, but nobody's giving him a chance. Last year, he couldn't play. They wouldn't let him play because they had what's his name again, who's no longer a part of the team.
Thank God.
He's got. So I think it's going to be Tyler Conklin and Jeremy Rucker. Those are the two guys that are going. Those are the two tight ends that are going to start. So Jeremy Rucker is going to get his chance. And everything that I've heard Aaron Rodgers say is that Jeremy has looked really, really good on the field when he's on the field. So you should be excited about that. Yeah, I think this is a very important year for Jeremy. Jeremy's going to get his opportunity to get out there and play. And I want to see what the kid could do. He played very well in Ohio State. I thought he was going to be fun to watch and his development as a New York Jet, but we haven't seen his development because he never get a chance to play. So, and I know the kid. I met the kid. He played at 495. He played on 495 Elite. He's a good kid, very well respected here on Long Island for Long Island football. And I think he could be very successful in the NFL. He's big, he's strong, he can obviously block, and he has tremendous speed on the outside.
Also, he's an Islander fan, so he's probably a really good guy.
I don't know about that, but as an Islander fan, there's no good in it. So,
but hey, that's a mental aspect. But if he's an Islander fan, I can trust him. Okay, I'll give him as many shots as he needs.
You know who I also heard looked really good is Alan Lazard. Now that Aaron Rodgers is back, looks really good.
I hope so.
That's a good sign.
It's a very good sign.
Because he didn't look good last year, but he also had nobody throwing him the ball. So
hold on. There's a lot of passes he had that were hit him right in the hands, and he dropped it.
Yeah, well, obviously he plays better with Aaron Rodgers out there. Now that Aaron Rodgers is 100% healthy and he's out there practicing with him, I think you should be very excited. Alan Lazard could play a big part. He's a good red zone guy. He was very good a red zone guy in Green Bay. And I want to see what Alan Lazard is going to do when Aaron Rodgers comes back. And we'll see if the Jets can keep Aaron Rodgers healthy. You know who also looks good? Adrian Martinez, the quarterback the Jets brought in from Kansas State. CFL, I think he played in last year. Looked really good. He was one of the better CFL quarterbacks. I think he's looked really good in the preseason games. I think the Jets should definitely look at him as a third quarterback to bring on this roster right behind Tyrod Taylor. Because right now, Jordan is not healthy. Jordan Travis, is not healthy. He's not playing this year with a broken leg. I think that you sit Jordan Travis out, let him learn behind Tyrod Taylor and Aaron Rodgers, and have somebody like Adrian, if anything goes wrong with any of those quarterbacks, fill in, because I think he's a competent quarterback.
He's also someone who has experience starting, which is important.
Well, and so the New York Jets have a couple of guys that really stood out so far, and I think there's still two more. I think one or two more preseason games left. I think the Jets have the Giants.
That's it.
So there's only one more game left.
I think that's it. Yeah, I know the Giants only have one more. I think the Jets do too. Yeah, the Giants only have one more. Yeah,
so against one another. So
yeah,
the Jets. I haven't watched anything with One Drive. I always watch that every year. I'm gonna start watching it tomorrow. But the Jets all around, they've won both their preseason games. But who cares about that? It doesn't matter who they win.
No, it doesn't matter. That's more of a sign of their depth than anything else.
I want to see these guys. I want to see all these guys, especially Stingers. Stingers coming from the CFL, and he was a 6th or 7th round draft pick by the New York Jets. They really liked him. He might be the future nickel corner that's going to fill in for Michael Carter the second, because I don't think the Jets are going to be able to resign him next year.
That would really suck.
He's going to want a lot of money. He could be a number 2 on some other team. He's right now playing slot corner.
I think he's going to get paid like a guy expected to be number 1.
But that's why the Jets are not going to be able to pay him, because they're going to have to pay.
I would agree. I would like to keep him. That would suck if he leaves. But on the open market, guys that are very good, regardless of what they did. If you were a big name receiver and you played the slot, you're going to get paid by somebody. Someone will do it on the open market to be number 1. Same thing with him. He's a slot cornerback. Someone's going to pay him to be a number 1. It's the truth. It's how free agency works. someone is out there, a GM is trying to get that guy to go to the next level when they're on the hot seat, and they throw money at someone who was really good. And it's just what teams do. We saw it happen a couple times this offseason.
No, I think you're right. And we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with that. But I think Michael Carter is going to be gone after this season. Win or lose, he will play the market. And he's probably on his way out. They're going to have to pay Sauce. They're going to have to pay Garrett. Elijah Vera Tucker's up on a contract. If he stays healthy this year, he's going to be one of the better offensive linemen as well. In the last 2 years before his injury, the guy doesn't give up sacks. The guy can play multiple positions. 1 year he played right tackle, left guard, and right guard. The only position he didn't play was center in his rookie season.
What would the franchise tag cost for a cornerback? Oh, I'm looking at it right now. I'm trying to find next year. Cornerback will be just about $19.5 million.
They're not going to pay him that, and they're not going to.
No, they're not going to franchise tag him. Definitely not. It's not worth it.
They're going to let him go, and that's why they brought in Stingers. They really like Stingers. He's 22 years old. He didn't play. He didn't play college ball because his father passed away.
Mm-hmm.
He went to the CFL. He wasn't even sure he was going to play, and I think he was CFL Rookie of the Year last year. He was fantastic. The Jets really loved him. He was the first CFL player ever drafted in the NFL draft.
Yes, I saw that.
And this is a kid that they really like, and they think that he's the future nickel corner on this roster. He's definitely making this roster. A lot of Jet executives really were surprised that he was there in the 6th round the way he was. But he's a guy that I think is going to fill in for Michael Carter this second.
I remember reading after the draft that the Jets were surprised he didn't go earlier. So that's to me, that's a good sign. That shows that they were very high on him, and hopefully he shows it on the field.
Leonard Taylor, who was an undrafted player, the Jets were very surprised he wasn't drafted. He played for Miami. He was one of the better defensive players in the country in a lot of ways. He didn't even get drafted. The Jets brought him in as an unrestricted free agent, and he's looked really good at camp. I heard he might even make this roster. So there's a lot to say about a lot of these. Solomon Thomas, who they brought back, I didn't like that. I wasn't very happy about that. As much as the Jets like him and Robert Saleh likes him, I don't like Solomon Thomas, and I think Solomon Thomas has not looked good in the preseason. So if it's up to the Jets to decide to bring one of these younger guys in or Solomon Thomas, I think that if I were the Jets, I would put Solomon Thomas on waivers. So that would be my opinion. But all in all, the Jets have looked good. The preseason has looked good for them, and practices I've heard through the grapevine, everything's looked good.
Didn't they also sign another defensive tackle?
I'm sorry?
They also signed another defensive tackle from San Fran, right? That didn't they bring back?
Yeah, Javon. I just said it. Javon.
Yeah. So
he's looked good. They like him. He's a starter.
So why would they keep 2 of them? Like
you're gonna need depth. You're gonna need depth.
Yeah, you need depth. I understand that, but I feel like you have other guys who could take that spot that Lawrence Taylor.
They also brought
Solomon Thomas.
Fatu in. They brought Fatu in from Arizona.
Yes.
Who they really, really liked. I was very surprised Arizona let him go. And the Jets signed him. And he's a guy that's going to fit on a defensive line. Has looked good in practices, I've heard. I think he's a good fit with the Jets. And the way Robert Saleh likes to run his defense. This defensive line is even better than they were last year. So, and if they could bring Hassan Reddick in, I mean, this could be the best defensive line in football.
I think if Hassan Reddick decides to show up, which I don't think, he's definitely not getting traded. There's zero chance the New York Jets move him. I don't think they trade him at all. From what I was reading, that if he doesn't show up the whole year, they have him for next year also. So I don't know if that's true. I'm not sure how some of the CBA stuff works. But
the Jets aren't trading him.
They're not. My understanding is that they retain his rights if he doesn't show up. Mm-hmm. And I don't think there's any benefit to trade him if you're a Jet, if you're the Jets. I agree with everybody saying how bad this makes Joe Douglas look. I agree.
I don't agree. He did.
You don't think it makes him look bad?
No, I don't. And I'm going to tell you why. Because no matter what, they don't lose their third round draft pick in this next draft. They lose it in 2026. And if worse comes to worse, they'll get what's that draft pick? They get I forget what it's called, but they get an
compensation.
I'm sorry,
compensation.
They get a compensation draft pick if he doesn't play. So no matter what, Joe Douglas took a chance. They weren't going to bring Bryce Huff because obviously Robert Saleh thought that Bryce Huff was not in every game, every 3-down back.
Well, we're going to find out if Saleh was right about that.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what he does with the Eagles. But I don't even think he's a 3-down defensive lineman for the Eagles either. So Hassan Reddick was a good addition. We'll see what Hassan Reddick does. I expect the Jets to get him into camp, and I think he's going to play. He could sit out. Remember, every game, every practice, every week that he misses, he's losing out on money. So it looks bad for Hassan Reddick. And remember, Hassan Reddick is 31 years old. How many years does he have left? I mean, Hassan Reddick, honestly,
he's not going to get the money that he wants.
He's not going to get $28 million like he thinks.
Well, not from the Jets. Like I said before, in free agency, anything can happen. You can whenever get that dumb money that you want, because there is always someone out there who could potentially do it. Someone who's desperate, who needs to do something to save their job. There's always someone out there that might do that.
I agree. And I think that in the position that the Jets are in, I don't think you could blame Joe Douglas. Joe Douglas sat down with his agent, sat down with Hassan Reddick before they made this move, and both said that he will be at camp with or without a contract. You have to trust the player. You have to trust the agent. He decided to play and spin the dreidel, and obviously it didn't land on the Gimel. It landed on the hay. So to me, if you look at the situation when the Jets are in, he played the card. He dealt it. They dealt it the hand, and the hand didn't fall the way he wanted it. But that doesn't make Joe Douglas a bad guy. I think Joe Douglas was looking at the team's best interest, and with Hassan Reddick, they had a better chance than they did with Bryce Huff.
Listen, I understand if people think Joe Douglas is a bad GM. I think he's done a terrific job.
He's not.
I understand that reasoning, though.
Only mistake he made was Zach Wilson.
Well, here's the thing. I think that when you're in the position the Jets were coming into the offseason, taking a chance on Hassan Reddick is worth it. I think it's something that, because of how it's playing out right now, I think it does make him look bad. But I think it's a risk that was worth it, because if he does say he came in from the beginning and was working out the entire time, you're getting 15 sacks probably?
13, 15 sacks, somewhere around
that. That's something that's worth the shot, because that puts you over from having a top 3 defense to being number 1 and being able to be even more of a Super Bowl caliber team if healthy. So to me, yeah, it's something that can make him look bad, and if people think that's something to hold against him, I understand it. I don't agree. I think that you look at what he has done and where he put this team. Think about where the Jets have been for such a long time. Where he put this team right now, he has made them Super Bowl contenders. You expect from the New York Jets, I'd say at least second round of the playoffs. At worst, that's what you expect.
I expect them to go to the AFC title game. I think they're the second best team right now. Right now, you can't put them over.
I think that's fair, but I think that majority of the people, if they went to the second round, I think compared to where they've been, that's worth it. They have given them. He has brought them to be Super Bowl contenders. He has made the expectations to be Super Bowl without even making the playoffs. To me, that shows how good of a job he has done constructing this roster.
Again, I want to see what the Jets are going to do, with this roster, and see how they're going to divvy out the roster and see where Joe Douglas, because Joe Douglas will bring guys off the waivers. If there's a player out there that he thinks would fit this team and move forward with this team, as an asset, I think Joe Douglas will do whatever it takes to bring that guy in. So there'll be good players on waivers that the Jets are going to look at. So they're going to have to drop to bring. And I think they will. They did it last year, and I expect them to do it this year. So we'll see what happens with the Jets. But everything that I've heard about Jets camp, they've looked really, really good. And a lot of these players.
I heard today they did not look very good offensively. I heard the
you're gonna have your bad days. You're gonna have your good days.
Today I heard that they looked like they didn't really care, which is not good. But I hope they they don't look like that on any given Sunday. But we'll see.
We'll see. As far as the Giants are concerned, the Giants, obviously the last game they did not look good, but I like what the Giants are doing. They're rebuilding. They have some good young players. Deonte Banks looks like he's going to be a very good cornerback in this league, especially when he's going to be practicing with an elite wide receiver, and I think they have an elite wide receiver, especially on what they did in this year's draft. Now, I'm not a big fan of this year's draft. I like Jalen Hyatt from last year. I think it's going to benefit him this season with the depth that they have at the receiving core now. I don't think that they have that much depth at the receiving core, but it's better than it was last year. And they got a pure number one in Malik Neighbors. Malik Neighbors is a pure number one. He's looked fantastic in practices. In the preseason, I watched bits and pieces of him on the field, but he's been dealing with a leg injury. But I expect him to be full force. If you're a fantasy guy, I'd bring him in because you're going to see this guy touch the ball or even be seen 15, 16 times a game.
I'm looking at their depth chart right now. And this really scares me I
think they have more depth than they did last year.
I agree, but I'm looking at their depth chart, and they have currently in their number one right guard spot, Greg Van Rotten.
Mm-hmm. Are you talking about the offensive line?
Yes.
I'm talking about the wide receivers.
I understand, yes. But I don't know. I think that that was a little bit of a moment on my part, but I think that their wide receivers definitely do look good now, or much better depth-wise than last year. But I saw some people talking about it on Twitter, and it's a very good question to think of. Would you cut Darius Slayton in order to give Jalen Hyatt more reps?
I don't think Darius Slayton's that good.
I know. He's been, throughout our history on the show, your favorite Giant, quote-unquote favorite, has been Darius Slayton.
I don't think he's that good. I remember people trying to compare him to Odell Beckham. He's nothing like Odell Beckham. Okay? It's so ridiculous. Darius Slayton is one of the most overrated, what was he, fourth-round draft picks I've ever heard. Okay? He is not a good wide receiver. He does have decent numbers every year, but they're end of the game type of numbers. He's not really that good. Everybody keeps talking about this guy, Wan'Dale Robinson, but he can't stay healthy. I think Wan'Dale could be a good slot receiver and accumulate, a 700-800 yard season, but he's got to stay healthy. Malik Neighbors, he's a guy that every year is going to get you 1,300, 1,400 yards if you can get him the ball. He's that good.
Yeah, 100%.
And Jalen Hyatt could be a number two. A lot of people thought he was a steal, where the Giants got him in the third round when people thought he was a second-round draft pick last year. But he didn't show it. The second half of the season, he looked better. But maybe having Malik Neighbors taking pressure off the double teams or off.
They need to find someone to get him the ball. I've said it many times.
I like Daniel Jones.
I hate him. I think he sucks. I think he's absolutely god awful.
I think what's god awful is the Giants' offensive line.
Oh yeah, they have Greg Van Rotten starting, so it's bad.
They have Andrew Thomas. And maybe John Runyon. Those are two really good guys.
I am honestly very surprised what has happened with Evan.
Oh, Neal. And I'm sorry, John Michael Schmidt. Look, he. I don't think he's better than.
I'm very surprised what happened with Evan Neal. He looked really bad last year.
Oh, he's horrible.
But it's really shocking to be honest.
Why? I didn't think he was any good.
They also have
Alabama.
They have a couple
Alabama offensive linemen have looked crappy.
They have a couple pieces that could do well. Like you said, you mentioned Runyon, Thomas.
Their defense is going to be good this year.
They definitely have. Oh yeah, I think they did a great job rebuilding their defense and building on top of what they already had.
I think they overpaid for Brian Burns, but he's a good player. Did,
yeah. But you know what? You look at what the Giants did last year. Their defense started slow, and then it got much better as the year went on. And I think that they did a very good job of adding to it to build on top of what they had that was already good. And I think that they did a very good job. I think they're going to have a very good defense. I think they could have one of the best defenses in the NFC.
Really?
I do. I just think that the Giants' offense is going to be so putrid that it's going to be pretty much if Malik Neighbors can't get a couple touchdowns, that I think they're cooked. I think they're going to be a team.
Their offense is going to be a lot better than you think.
I don't. I think it's going to be absolutely putrid. I think it would be better than last year, but that's pretty hard to be worse. I think it'll be better than last year, but it's going to be really bad offensively. I think I don't see them finishing better than third in the division. I think the Giants are going to be they might hang around in games against some good teams, but I think I just don't see anything on their offense. I think Daniel Jones is absolutely disgustingly horrible.
I think they win 7 or 8 games, and I disagree. I think Daniel Jones will have a good season.
He won't.
I think he will. I think he will. If he stays healthy, he will. I think he will.
No,
and I don't care what anybody says. You're not seeing the best.
I don't care what you say also. He's absolutely dog shit.
All right. Well, that's your opinion. I think he's a lot.
I don't know, but the entire Giant fan base kind of agrees with that right now.
That's fine because they're seeing him in the games, the preseason games that mean absolutely nothing. They need to give him a chance. Let him.
I am also basing on what I have watched him the last few years. I have thought he has been terrible.
Well, listen, I'm not.
He had one above average year.
I'm not saying he's an elite quarterback,
but his best year where everyone gave him the most praise, he threw 15 touchdown passes in a pass-first league. He is not a good quarterback. He's not. He's not good with his arm. His arm is terrible. And when you have no offensive line, you have no receivers, there's nothing around, he's going to be even worse. I just don't see him play and see him to be a guy who's capable of starting every night for an NFL team. Maybe a backup, maybe a CFL starter, maybe an XFL starter.
He's a starter in this league. I don't know why.
He's absolutely not. He's absolutely horrible. He's awful.
Give him weapons. Give him weapons. You give him Malik Neighbors and you lose Saquon Barkley. Give him weapons. If he has
First
weapons.
Off, what happened with Saquon Barkley was absolutely psycho.
Yep.
I don't know if you saw
Disrespectful.
Well, no.
Yeah, it was disrespectful.
It wasn't
disrespectful.
It was disrespectful by Barkley.
No, it wasn't.
What do you mean? It was on the Hard Knocks. They spoke to him, and they told him, go to free agency. Yep. Find out how much you're worth.
They didn't even give him an offer.
You're correct about that. But they told him, come back to us, and we will give you an offer based off of what you were getting.
They didn't give him an offer. They didn't even offer him anything.
They were going to offer him what he was getting based off on the market. And he didn't go back to them.
The Giants already said it was too much. Did you watch Hard Knocks? They said it was too much that he got.
They did.
They were never going to give him that.
They did. But that was after the contract went through. He never called them back to tell them that.
Joe Shane said they were never giving him that contract. It doesn't matter.
I agree with that. But you know what? He still should have called them and told them how much he was getting offered on the market.
He knew that the Giants weren't giving him that. He knew it.
But that's still the thing. If you see, to me, if I give somebody my word on something, I'm always going to be sticking up and keeping my word.
I don't think he was bad for what he did. I thought it was.
Listen. Do I think it was dumb on the Giants' part to trust him for that? 1,000% yes. But I'm the type of person that when I give somebody my word, I will always try everything in my power to keep my word. And he told them on the phone, he gave them his word that he would come back and tell them what he was getting. He could have at least said, hey, I know you might not want to give this to me, but this is what I'm giving you. This is what I'm getting offered.
Lyle, let me tell you something. If you see what the Giants did before he even signed that contract, there was no way they were going to bring him in. You knew it.
I understand.
They brought in John Runyon. They brought in all these other guys.
I understand that.
They didn't have the money, and they were.
I understand that, but that doesn't mean
they were going to bring in Brian Burns.
I understand all of that, but that doesn't.
The Giants.
That doesn't mean he shouldn't go. Should go back on his.
The Giants paid a guy that was not even on the roster. He wasn't even a draft pick of theirs, and Brian Burns. They gave him over $30 million to a guy.
I understand all of that. But hindsight is 2020. Hindsight is 2020. He still should have went and kept his word. To me, that's just how I am as a person. I want people. I would like to keep my word for everything. Obviously, it's impossible for somebody to keep their word 100% of the time. But in that situation, I think he could have. He could have given him a call and said something. I don't know, but that's maybe it's just like
he was not wrong. People. I would have done the same thing
as Barkley.
100%.
That's it.
He saw what he read it on the wall. He knew they weren't bringing it back for $38 million.
But you know what? See, the way I am is I would still call them and tell them what I'm getting.
They paid a player, Brian Burns. I'm not saying he's not a good player. They paid him over $128 million.
I understand all of that.
A guy that wasn't even on that roster. He wasn't even part of the team. He wasn't even the franchise player of your organization.
I understand all of that.
And you let him go.
But none of that takes away from the fact that he went against his word. You could say, scream, however much money they gave him. But I will not stop and say, hey, well, you know what? He went back against his word. To me, as a person, I don't like that.
I disagree. I thought he did the right thing. Shame on the Giants not giving.
I think how the Giants handled it was idiotic.
The Giants should have just given him the offer. What do you want? This is what I want.
I agree with that. I think the Giants handled it horribly. But to me, I don't like when people go against.
Good, and they're gonna regret it. They're gonna regret it.
Probably, yeah.
Oh, probably.
I think the Eagles are. I think the Eagles have a very solid chance to win the Super Bowl this year.
They have never had a running back this good. Super Bowl champs. They're going to be 100% a contender.
Yeah, they have very good chances here. I think there's a really good chance.
I don't like Kellen Moore, but I love Saquon, and I think Saquon in that offense is going to be so beastly. He had no offensive line on that Giant team last year. Could you imagine with an offensive line the kind of numbers he's going to put up? It's going to be ridiculous. He's going to be the best running back in the league, or one of the top 3. He's that good. He's going to be that good. The Eagles are going to use him in so many different packages. And now that you have 2 wide receivers that are actually competent, in Smith and Brown, he's going to open up the field for him. He is going to be beastly. It's going to be fun to watch. I'm very excited.
I think that the Eagles are going to blow away in the NFC East. I agree that they're going to be a phenomenal team. I want to say I
don't like the coaching. That's the only
I want to say I think they're a favorite to win the Super Bowl in my opinion.
Just like I don't like the Jets coaching. I think that the Jets coaching is horrible.
I want to say that I think they're a favorite to win the Super Bowl.
Really?
But I
win the Super Bowl.
But as a Jet fan, I also don't want to say that because
I liked my second favorite team growing up is the Eagles because I was a Donovan McNabb fan.
I think the Eagles have. I think they have a good argument to have the best roster in the NFL, and I think that I think if they're healthy,
I think on paper, if Hassan Reddick's on the Jets, I think the Jets have the best roster in the NFL. I do believe that.
But you know what? As a Jet fan, I know for a fact, like 3 games in, that's not going to be close to our roster. So,
if they won't be healthy, no.
Something catastrophic is going to happen. We're the fucking Jets. So, like, I that's why it's tough for me to say, like, I want the Jets to be in that discussion for the Super Bowl, but until you prove it to me, I can't put you in there.
Fool me once, whatever. Fool me twice, then it's,
nail on the head.
And if it's been more than twice, it's been forever. So
been the last 11 years.
11 years. It's been the last 52, 53 years.
We haven't made the playoffs in 11, 12 years?
Well, over 12 years now. This is going on with 13.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
And the Jets haven't won a Super Bowl since 1969.
They should have made it in the butt fumble year.
And the Jets haven't been to a Super Bowl since 1969.
Hey, we're undefeated in the Super Bowl. Would you rather be the Jets winning one in 1969 or be the Buffalo Bills being 0 for 4?
Right now, the Buffalo Bills have a lot more success than the Jets.
Historically, that wasn't an answer to the question. Which one would you rather be? 0 for 4 or 1-0 and has been there in 1969?
0 for 4.
Really? Why?
Because at least you're making those appearances and showing that you're still an elite team.
But you know what? To me,
you play better teams.
I'd rather have the ring than no ring.
And to sit here as a Jet fan and say that they haven't been to a Super Bowl since makes me sick to my stomach. So
100% agree. But you know what? It'll happen again.
Will it? Yes. Your bet and your guess is as good as mine.
It's like the Magic Con show and SpongeBob. Maybe someday.
I think Aaron Rodgers is still fantastic. I believe if they can protect him and keep him on his feet, he's going to have an unbelievable year.
I agree. I think it's going to take him 4 or 5 games to really get back to where he was.
But they need to protect him.
Do you think he plays against the Giants?
I'm sorry?
Do you think he plays against the Giants?
No.
I think he should. I don't think he will, but I think he should for at least a quarter. Get some of that rust off in game action. And that's what I think he should do. But they won't play him out of fear, but he should come out and play.
I don't think he will. And I think they said that he will.
No, he's not going to play. I don't think he will. But I think he should.
But as a Jet fan, you should be giddy about if Aaron Rodgers, if he stays healthy, this could be a really, really fun year for the New York Jets because they got the weapons. Garrett Wilson's going to have easily 1,400 yards. Easy. Maybe even more. He'll be one of the top 5 wide receivers in the league. Breece Hall is expected to be on the PPR, depth charts for fantasy. He's like second. He could have an unbelievable year, but watch out for Braylon Allen. Bless you. Watch out for Braylon Allen because I think Jet fans are going to learn a lot about Braylon Allen this year because I think Braylon Allen is going to steal everybody's love from Breece Hall. I really think
he's going to steal it from Breece Hall.
He's going to become the fan favorite for the Jet fans. I'm telling you right now, what I've seen, this guy is beastly. He's not afraid of anybody. He'll run through you. And that's something that you expect. And he's 20 years old. He's the youngest player drafted in this year's class. And by the way, the 2 youngest players in NFL history, Sam Darnold and Braylon Allen.
Hopefully this one's better.
Well, I think Sam Darnold's going to have a great year with the Minnesota Vikings.
You know what? Listen.
I think he's going to have a great year.
He will. I was a fan of Sam Darnold.
I am still a fan of him.
I did not want to see him leave. I have said begrudgingly. That's probably not the best word to use. I was very frustrated to say because I knew it to be true. Not last year, but the year before. If we had Sam Darnold starting as quarterback for the New York Jets instead of Zach Wilson in the second year, they make the playoffs 100%, in my opinion.
If they didn't trade Sam Darnold, they wouldn't have Breece Hall.
That's one way to look at it, too.
That was the pick.
That's a good way to look at it.
So, you have to look at the big picture here, and the Jets did what they needed to do, and they got an asset. Now, Sam Darnold could be. I still think he's still fairly young. He's 27. Remember, he was a young quarterback. That kid could still become a great quarterback in this league. Remember,
I will always refer.
It took Gannon a long time to become a great quarterback in this league, and when he did, he took an Oakland Raider team to the Super Bowl. And I think I'm not saying that Sam Darnold's that guy, but Sam Darnold is a good quarterback. He put up 3,000 something yards. Is best 3,500 yards for the Jets at one year. I think I don't remember the number, but I think it was like 3,500 yards or 3,400 yards.
That was like his last year or something like that. Yeah, he had one crazy year.
Yeah, so he's a good quarterback. I think with Justin Jefferson and T.J. Hawkinson and with the weapons that they have over there, and finally getting a full-time chance over there in Minnesota now that J.J. McCarthy is out for the season, I think he's going to flourish. He flourished over there in San Francisco when he took over for Brock Purdy.
I wouldn't say flourished, but
he was 2-0, I think, when Brock Purdy
was he was 0-1.
Really? I thought he was 2-0.
He started one game, he was 0-1.
Oh, all right.
He was, what was his stats for that game? 28 for 46. 297 yards. I don't see any touchdowns.
2 touchdowns, 1 interception.
Oh, that was actually for the whole season. I thought that was game by game. What the hell?
No, 2 touchdowns.
I hate this website.
He had 60.9 completion percentage, 297 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, 85.1 passing rate.
I'm a fan of his. I am. And the year you're talking about, he had 3,000 passing yards. That was second year. Jets.
Yeah, and the Jets gave up on him, and I think it was a big. That was because of Joe Douglas. It wasn't his guy. It was
that was 100% what it was. It wasn't his guy, and they decided to move on.
It was a McCagnon guy.
It's a shame.
They still have Quentin Williams. He's a McCagnon, but that guy's a beast.
Yeah,
that guy's a beast.
He's everybody's guy.
Yes, and his brother is. What a steal!
That was a huge steal by Joe Douglas.
By Joe Douglas. What a find, because that guy is one of the best linebackers in the league now. He really is. Quincy Williams could be as good as his brother. So it's unbelievable what he tried. He was a Pro Bowl player last year. He was an all-pro player last year. I mean, this guy is as good as any linebacker in the league right now and is a big leader to this team and a big moving force. So what a find by Joe Douglas has found a lot of good guys, in the scrap. And he's made mistakes at free agents. He's brought DJ Reed is the only free agent that I actually thought was a great hit for him. But we'll see what happens with some of the guys and the acquisitions that we're going to see Clark this year. Clark's going to play. He got hurt. So I think he's a great fit because he's a good run stopper. And the Jets' problem last year was stopping the run. I think
that was a huge problem last year.
He's a good guy. He's a good run stopper at the.
But
season.
You know what? I feel like if they could get 2 really good guys on the line, a lot of teams would double team Quentin Williams, which is smart. But if you have another really good option up there, that opens up Quentin and opens up whoever else is on there to then shove that line in there. And a lot of times that's going to shut down the run. And if you could crash the line on top of each other, which they can get one more guy on that offensive line, that's really big, like Quentin like that. I think that would be really helpful in stopping the run.
I think that's what they think Javon is going to be.
Hopefully.
He's looked good in the preseason. Everything that I've read about him, he's looked really, really good. And practices, they love him. So, but we finish up with the Yankees and the Mets. I'm sure a lot of Yankee fans are excited moving forward with this team. And the Yankees are right now tied in first place with Baltimore. The Yankees' run differential is the best in the league right now, which is a plus 116. They've been as good as any team in baseball and very consistent. The middle of their lineup went healthy with Juan Soto and Aaron Judge. It's probably the best 1-2 punch in baseball. Aaron Judge is on his way of hitting closer to 60 home runs this year to Soto, who's going probably hit about 45, 48. I mean, this is a great 1-2 punch. Now, I know a lot of Yankee fans are wondering what's going to happen to Juan Soto. Who knows what's going to happen to Juan Soto? But I don't think you need to worry about that right now. It's worrying about winning World Series and going all the way. And
right now, the Mets are helping out the New York Yankees by beating the Baltimore Orioles 2-0 in the bottom of the third.
And the Mets, they have a chance to squeeze into the playoffs. They do.
I think they're 2 games out.
Uh-huh. And they've played better really since the 2 weeks before the All-Star break. And they've been back and forth. They're 4-6 in their last 10 games. I still think that the Mets can make the playoffs.
I think they can too. I think they will. I want to give them a lot of credit. We had that segment on the show talking about if they were the worst team in baseball. Since then, they have been playing tremendous baseball. Yeah. I will give them credit. I will eat those words when I said they were the worst team in baseball, but they have been playing tremendous. I thought they've been playing it very well, and I do think they will get in as third wild card.
I think they're dangerous, but you have to watch out for Arizona. They've been one of the hottest teams. San Diego's been one of the hottest teams right now in baseball. So there's a lot of good teams right now. And the National League, everybody thinks that the National League is going to run away with the MLB championship. They're going to win the World Series. I don't think so. Houston's starting to pick up their game. They're dangerous. I think they have a very good pitching staff. They're as dangerous as any. Cleveland's been dying out. They're not they were the hottest team in baseball for a while, and now they've kind of fallen off. So, I mean, at one point they had the best record in baseball, but they went on a skid, which was expected, just like the Yankees. And I still think Cleveland has a very good chance to be a dangerous team because of their pitching staff. I just don't know if they can have enough offense to beat the Baltimore Orioles or the New York Yankees or even Houston or Seattle. Seattle's going to make the playoffs. There's no question. And Minnesota, with the lineup that they have in the offensive the game that they have, with the pitching staff that their front three starting pitching and their relief pitching, I think they're dangerous too. But if they match up against the Yankees have always killed the Twins in the playoffs. So I don't think the Twin fans want to see them play the Yankees in the first game of the playoffs or a wild card game against the Yankees, because the Yankees have always torched them in the playoffs. But it's going to be a close race. I think it's really the Yankees and Baltimore to win the pennant. I think they're the two best teams right now, and Philadelphia there too. I mean,
I want to give them credit. Kansas City Royals.
Yes,
they've been playing really good baseball. They're
the best catcher in baseball.
They've done a tremendous job, and I would love to see them get in. Right now, they're in the third wild card spot, 3.5 over Boston, which I'll be honest with you. So, I think that would be fun if Boston gets in as the third wild card.
They're not.
If they do, and then you have the Yankees and Boston both in the wild card race, in the top 3 in the wild card, and they have to play each other for the final playoff spot, I think that would be great. I think that would be a lot of fun.
It's sad what's happened to Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay was one of the best teams in the American League. They've fallen off.
But let's be real. Look at what their strategy was for a long time. Eventually, that was going to wear off. Their strategy.
They lost their star shortstop because he was raping little girls.
Yeah, I don't feel bad for them for that, but
people forgot about that. I mean,
they
paid him a lot of money. They gave him, and that's guaranteed money. They gave him like 200.
No, I think they'll definitely be able to get out of that 100%.
$200 million they gave that kid. I mean, they decided to give away pitchers again and thought that these prospects were going to be better, and then that's the transition that Tampa likes to do. They like to play their cards, and they like to play blackjack, and sometimes it works, and most of the time it doesn't. So,
and you know what? It was working for them for a long time, and it ran out on them, and it happens.
It does. It happens. There's no question that it does. And again, the Yankees, Baltimore, I think the American League is pretty much set. The Yankees and Baltimore are going to make the playoffs and probably be the lead teams in the American League. I do still see a run coming out of Houston. They're 9-1 in their last 10 games. Their pitching staff is getting healthy. I mean, I expect them to run away with that division now. Seattle was right there with them. I think Seattle is going to fall back into the wild card, but I think it's going to be now. If I think Seattle beats out Kansas City, I do. I think Seattle beats out Kansas City.
They're 5.5 right now back.
I know. Actually,
and you think they're going to go and catch that much?
Yes,
okay.
I do. I think they're going to get hot. I think they have a good offense. Well, their offense is not. They have a good pitching staff, and their relief pitching is one of the better pitching staffs in baseball when it comes to relief pitching. So we'll see. I don't know. Right now, if you put a gun to my head, it's Baltimore, New York, Cleveland, Minnesota, Houston. That's what I think, and maybe Kansas City because there's that other team. So I would say there's 7 teams that make it, right? Baltimore, New York, Cleveland, Minnesota, Kansas City, and Houston. Those are the teams that are going to make it right now. In the National League, it's Philadelphia, the Braves, Milwaukee, Los Angeles, San Diego, and Arizona. Right? I got all the teams right there.
Yeah.
So I think the Mets come up short.
I'm going to be honest. I think Milwaukee's dangerous. I wouldn't be shocked if we had a really good series between Milwaukee and the Dodgers and the NLCS.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's Arizona and Philadelphia.
Again?
Yep. I think Arizona are so dangerous. Their lineup and their youth on this team.
Listen, their lineup is great, but their pitching hasn't been very good this year.
Yeah, and I understand that. I know pitching wasn't really good in the second half last year until the last 3 weeks in the season, and then they went hot into the playoffs. So I think Arizona is as dangerous as any team right now. I think I wouldn't be surprised if Arizona catches up to Los Angeles.
Honestly, I don't think so. Marte is going on the DL. That's a big loss for them.
We'll see. But it's going to be fun.
That's a really big loss for them.
It's going to be really, really fun. I think it's wide open. The National League and the American League still very wide open.
I do. I fully agree. I think that anybody could come out and win. I don't think there's anybody in baseball that is clear head and shoulders above everybody else. I think next year the Dodgers are going to be, because next year they'll have Ohtani being able to pitch.
I don't think Ohtani's as good as you think he is as a pitcher.
But listen, he's a very good pitcher. Okay, he's a very good hitter, and adding him into
very good hitter, okay pitcher.
He's good pitcher. Okay, he's much better than whatever 4 or 5 they have, and adding him in there and getting rid of that. I think that's just a very good upgrade on their part.
I think Atlanta will be the team to beat in the National League next year when they get healthy. With Strider coming back, Acuna coming back.
But
they have a very good
I don't know when Acuna will come back.
He is.
No, but when will he? He might not come back till sometime in the middle of the year.
No, that's not what I hear. I think he's on a pace to make the season, the game of the season. So.
I think he's going to be that permanent DH for now on. Why is this his second ACL injury?
Yeah. Yep.
I don't like. What? Maybe sometimes they'll put him in the corner, but he was a center fielder for them for a few years, and then he hurt. I think after his first one, they moved him to the corner, right? Mm-hmm. But like to me, I just put him at.
They have 2 good farm hands coming up to next year, pitchers. So I expect Atlanta.
Fried will probably be gone.
He'll be gone. He'll be a Met. If the Mets don't get Soto, which they probably, there's a back and forth thought that the Yankees are still going to get him.
I don't think so. I don't think he stays here.
I don't either. But what I'm hearing is that the Yankees are going to do everything they can to keep him here. But nevertheless, if the Mets lose out on Soto, I think Burns and Fried are going to be Mets. I do. And they're going to sign Pete Alonso and probably bring in another bat. They're going to spend over $1 billion next year with whoever they bring in. I expect David Stearns to really be a spender in the offseason because they didn't spend anything this offseason. So
if I think that they're in a very good position to spend. I think if they came into last year and their big guns weren't performing well. Alonso was trending down. Lindor was trending down. Now they're having much better years this year, especially Lindor. He's having a fantastic year. So you look at that, and then if they make the playoffs, having all that money to spend puts you in such a better position.
Well, we will see, man. We will see. I'm looking forward to it, and thank you for dealing with my hiccups all show. I mean, I want to thank the fans because it's not easy doing a show and getting through with the hiccups.
You had hiccups before you were lagging the whole time.
Yeah. But I really appreciate all the fans. I've been trying to get rid of it all friggin' day, and then it'll go away and come back, go away, come back. I've been trying everything. Everybody telling me, hold your breath, do this, do that, drink this, drink that, chew on this, and mint bubblicious, and mint gum would help you. I've tried everything. It just hasn't gone away. So hopefully it'll be gone for tomorrow's show for the Sports Loudmouth. It's been horrible. Dealing with this all day has just been horrible. But like I said, thank you to all the fans, and thank you to you, Lyle. Always good doing a show with you, and we'll be back next week.
Yep, we will definitely be back next week. And remember, Daniel Jones sucks.
And we'll be moving into the new